The thing that separates good DPS players from great DPS players usually isn't the skills or gear or even the rotation. It's a bunch of little habits around that. And I'm not going to spend too much time on the basics, but here are a few habits that I've picked up. Some I get asked about a lot, some just aren't talked about enough. The first habit is bar swap canceling. What this is canceling the animation of a skill by bar swapping. And I like to do this on the more buggy skills or really every time I swap bars. Here I am on my Sork, and a couple of the Sork skills that are always sort of slow is Liquid Lightning and Curse. So I like to always bar swap cancel them, which that just means I'll do like a Light Attack Stampede, Light Attack Hurricane, Light Attack Liquid Lightning bar swap. And so you see my character didn't do the whole Liquid Lightning animation there. It only did a little tiny bit of it. So what this does is it really speeds up your whole rotation, because if you're waiting for animations to finish before you bar swap, it just adds a lot of time. So it's a little tricky to see, but I'm going to bar swap cancel Hurricane here. So I'm going to do Light Attack Stampede, Light Attack Liquid Lightning, Light Attack Hurricane. And you won't even see me do the full animation for the Hurricane. So here's a full animation on Hurricane. And here it is when I swap cancel. So every time you swap bars, you should be swap canceling a skill. It gets a little tricky on channeled skills. You want to be careful with your channeled skills for sure, not to swap out of them early. Also, something that helps with that on dummy parsing is walking into furniture. So I set my auto walk to just a button that's easy to hit. So then when I'm about to run in for my parse, I can auto walk into some furniture, but still be able to hit the boss. And that's because some of these skills don't bar swap super easy. Like for Stampede, you need to be moving just a touch in order to bar swap cancel out of it. And auto walking counts as that. Okay, habit number 2 is just landing your light attacks. This one seems pretty simple and straightforward, but I think the beaming and Velothi meta has made us worse at light attacking. And this is where a lot of those mid-level players leak some damage. Most people know what light attack weaving is, but actually landing every single one adds so much damage and so much sustain that it's really, really important. So even after a bar swap cancel, you want to light attack. Even after a channeled skill, you want to light attack. Even after an ultimate, you want to light attack. A lot of the times when players are asking me how they can improve their parses, I always just look at the weapon attack numbers compared to skill numbers. They should be exactly the same or 1 or 2 off from each other, because there should be a light attack before every single skill. So I'll just do a little bit here, but you want every single skill you want a light attack in front of. So I just went for a little bit there, but you can see 24 weapon attacks, 24 skills. And that just leads me right into the next habit, and that's just learning how to read CMX a little bit better. There's a lot of people that will post a CMX report of their parse and not even know what it is and what they're looking at. So I just want to go over super fast what this is and what things you need to be looking at. So obviously you have your overall DPS number up here, and that's important, but the main thing I look at to tell if it was a good parse or not is this weaving average, the weapon attacks versus skill cast. This is just a random parse that I pulled up. I'm doing 0.058 seconds of wasted time between each skill cast. So that's not that I'm light attack skilling every 0.058 seconds. That's just I'm wasting that much between each of them. So over this parse, I wasted 6.161 seconds. So I could definitely get this faster. I also see that I missed 13 light attacks here. And then when I want to know what's actually slowing me down, I can look at my skills here in the weave timing here. And I see that Barb Trapped was my slowest skill. So I should probably work on swap canceling that more or getting that weave time just a little bit better on the trap. Also, Bound Armaments was a little bit slow at 0.09. I slow down when I go into power overload light attacks just to make sure each one of them hits. So that's a little slow too. I could speed that up, save a little time there. Also, you can see your missed light attacks. So I missed 13 light attacks. 4 of them were on Stampede, 3 of them were on Haunting Curse, 2 on Sundering Knife, 2 on Liquid Lightning, 1 on Hurricane. So that information just helps me get better for the next parse to know, okay, Stampede is where I'm missing light attacks. Let me focus on my light attacking before and after that skill. And then some other quick things that are important on the fight stats page is just looking at your crit damage. So I was low on my crit damage here because this parse was with Null Arca, and so if I swap to more a scribe, it could probably be a little bit higher crit damage. I was also over pins, so I could probably swap that one piece of light I had to a medium piece. So it's just important to know what each of these means and to know what the caps are. And then the fourth habit I want to talk about, this is more specific to a certain add-on. It's Fancy Action Bar Plus timers. I highly recommend Fancy Action Bar Plus because it just helps so much and it's customizable. You can make the timers as big as you need, and then it doesn't clutter your screen with buffs and all the other things that you don't really need to know. So here I make my timers really huge. You can see my hurricane down here has a giant 10, 9, and then when it gets to 2 seconds, that number turns red. That just helps me in my peripheral vision know that I need to cast that again soon. I also personally don't like when it flashes again when it goes to 0. I have it just cut off immediately, so then I know if the skill doesn't have a timer on it, it's not active. Also, there are some skills where you need to be careful about what is actually being tracked and what is not. So for instance, on my Stampede, you could either be tracking the Merciless Charge from the Maelstrom weapon, which is an 18-second buff, or you could be tracking the actual AoE of Stampede, which is 15 seconds. So there's a 3-second difference there. So if when you hit a Stampede and it says 18 seconds, you're actually missing out on 3 seconds of the AoE damage of Stampede. So you just have to be careful what thing you're tracking, and I like that Fancy Action Bar lets you change it based off of skill IDs, and you can choose what you actually see and not. And then finally, I'm going to talk about bash weaving a little bit. On Crow, you can double bash weave with Goliath because that bash goes out a little bit faster than a standard bash, but every single class can bash weave. Here I'm on my Sork, which is running Martial Knowledge, which needs to keep the stam below 50%, so I bash weave quite a bit with this. So it can feel a little clunky at first, but what happens is you light attack, skill, bash, and so that's 3 inputs really fast. It's boom, boom, boom. Light attack, skill, bash, boom, boom, boom. I'll try to show you my rhythm here. This is also something you need to be careful about when using channeled skills because the bash can cancel your channeled skill. So I swapped off rapid strikes for knife just to show you this. I'll just do a bunch of the throwing knives, get you to see my rhythm here. Light attack, skill, bash, light attack, skill, bash, bump, 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 bump. Bump, 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 bump. So this is just adding just a tiny bit of damage to my parse, but it's also helping me keep my stamina low. This isn't a huge deal, and it won't make or break your parse. It might be the difference in going from 169k to 170k or something like that on a parse, but in content, it's not really a game changer. On a Crow with Goliath, it's definitely a bigger deal. And I know to get those 195 or higher Nightblade parses right now, people are bash weaving. So these habits really just compound with each other. And then once you know all this stuff, how to read CMX, how to do all the different cancellations and things like that, and how to handle your animations, know what skills animations are important to cancel, it just helps you be able to switch classes and still do a ton of damage. So yeah, that's just a few habits that I've picked up along the way. Hope these help. I'm sure there's a ton more little habits that other players have and do all the time, but these are just some of the ones I wanted to share today. Hope this helps. See you next time. Peace.